IVM.
Hi everybody, just wanted to ask everyone for a quick favor. We're running a brand survey right now and would really appreciate it if you could let us know what you think about the advertising on IVM. Go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and do let us know. As part of this, we'll be selecting 10 random participants and sending them some IVM swag, so do fill out those surveys.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashton Doctor, your habit coach, and today we have a very interesting episode from a fellow podcaster. And we're going to be talking about the very, very interesting guests that he's had on his podcast. And we said that, let's understand what are the habits that they have. What are the thought processes they have and go through? Because ultimately his podcast is all about understanding the thought process behind his guests. So join me in welcoming Deepak Gopalakrishnan, also known as Chuck. Deepak, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Hey, thanks so much, Ashton. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited about this because, this whole idea behind your podcast, Getting Meta, is so interesting, right? Because of understanding the way guests, think. And I think that's a fantastic approach that you have. But you've hosted other podcasts in the past. Just tell us a little bit about you and the various podcasts that you hosted.
Oh, goodness, how much time do you have? Because podcasts is start talking about themselves. So anyway, I am a content and marketing freelancer. I work and live in Mumbai, and I've spent a life in advertising, marketing, events, that sort of space. And yeah, right now I'm just a happy freelancer with my wife and 3 cats. Not all of them contribute to putting food on the table. But podcasts have been a side project for a while now. So I started off as anybody else by listening to international shows. My particular favorite show was this British show called The Bugle. Not sure if you have heard of it. It's Andy Zaltzman, who used to write a lot of funny stuff for Cricinfo, and John Oliver, who of course went on to become a big name later in the US.
Oh, wow.
The last, yeah. So The Bugle is actually one of the longest running shows, podcasts ever. It's back in 2006 and 2007, before podcasts were, a thing. And I was an ardent follower of that show. And later, I wanted to do something like that, but with news in India, with some sort of thing. It was a very vague sort of idea that I had. I mean, long story short, Simplified was born out of that. Me and my good friend Narendra Shenoy, we started it. And then the good folks at IVM said, yeah, you guys come on board and let's give you a proper mic instead of you switching off the fan and recording with your phones. And from there, we added a couple more hosts, Tony and Shriketh, not in that order. And Simplified has been a show that's gone on for about 200 episodes and is basically fun look at everything that happens around us. And our idea is very simple, to make you marginally smarter than when you started listening to the episode. It's basically just a lot of Wikipedia research and poor jokes. Then along the way, there was another show I started called The Origin of Things, which is a short format show where I give the origin of a brand, but reveal the name of the brand only at the end. So it's like a dramatized origin of the brand. And for me, the challenge is to keep the listener guessing till the last moment. And that often means hiding not just the brand, but also the category. Because you can't say, okay, today I'm going to be talking about a whiskey brand. So then you already narrowed down in people's head what that could be. So then you have to say, okay, how do I deceive it further? Then we have to talk about, say, drinks in general. And then, it's not Johnny Walker he was talking about. It ended up being distillery. Spoiler alert. But, stuff like that. So this was actually inspired. Thanks. That was actually inspired by a show called The Way I Heard It by Mike Rove. He is an international podcaster and he does the same format, but for people, right? So that was pretty interesting. I thought, hey, I'd like to do the same thing with brands. So that's 2 seasons and 50 episodes old. And I am going to start working on season 3 right now. Along the way, then came the idea for another show on productivity, etc. And everything has been inspired by something. Simplified was inspired with Bugle. This was Origin of Things was inspired by The Way I Heard It. And I am a big fan of the Tim Ferriss show. I am guessing you might have heard of it as well, given the content of your show. And I've been an ardent follower of that show. And to me, what was most interesting, Ashton, was from that show, the lessons I took away the most were not from people I knew or from spaces that I typically, follow myself. Right. And that I realized was a great way of thinking or a great way of interviewing, not about, okay, how did you become like, for example, when he interviewed Arnold Schwarzenegger, the interview was less about bodybuilding and more about his habits. I thought, oh, that is brilliant. I want to do something like that. And I always vainly wanted to have a one-on-one interview show. It's been a dream of mine for a while, and I thought, okay, this is perfect. This is the right time to do something like this as well. So I launched it, and for me, the idea was to speak to 10 people across disciplines in India, and that's what I've done. I've done 10 episodes, and as the time of this recording, we've got 6 episodes that are out right now, and the reception's been pretty decent for now for me to think that there is life in this beast to do a second season. So that's my podcast journey. I know it's a long answer, but I've mucked around for a while and I've got 3 shows, I suppose. So yeah, Getting Meta is the latest experiment from there, and pretty happy with how it's come out till now.
Brilliant. The first podcast I ever listened to was also a British show.
Yeah.
It was called The History of the World in 100 Objects.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's a beautiful show, and I was hooked onto it. Every single time I was in the car, I was listening to it. And
Lovely.
This was way back when, like 10, maybe more years ago.
Yeah.
Before podcasting was even a thing here.
Yeah.
Right? And exactly what you said, it's so interesting learning from different people in different fields. And there's this thing called the Medici effect. Have you heard of it?
The
Medici effect. The Medici, depending on how you pronounce it, was this family in Italy, and they started the Renaissance because of the amount of money that they have. They kept bringing in scientists and artists into Venice, and as a result, it became a melting pot of different ideas from different fields. And as a result, the ideas that came out from there were completely unique, because now there was a fisherman sitting next to a scientist in a bar, and they were having a conversation about how to catch particular kind of fish without hooks. So it's quite an interesting way of thinking and growing.
That's amazing. I just wish there was a podcast at that point of time. That would have been so fascinating to hear those sort of, I'm a big fan of these intersections. And I think there's so much opportunity to learn from there and create content in that space.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant. So, Chuck, what are some of the habits that you're going to talk to us about today? So let's start off by jumping into it with, we've decided that from each of your guests, we're going to pick up 1 or 2 or 3 habits or whatever that you feel were interesting in the conversation that you had with them.
Yeah, it's interesting you were asking me this, Ashton, actually, because when you had kindly asked me to come onto your show, I was actually putting together I've done 10 interviews. So what are my learnings overall? Like, there are going to be some common strains throughout, right? It's not like, okay, here are 3 things I learned from this guy, 3 things I learned from that person, etc., etc. When you consolidate all that together, you see there are some very, very common themes across all of those. And that really is what I wanted to talk about today.
Meta learnings.
Meta learnings from the Meta. By the way, the name Getting Meta itself was created during the show itself. When the first interview I did was with Amit Verma, Seen and the Unseen, the brains behind it and the writer. And when I started the recording with him, I said, listen, I don't have a name for this show, but I am going out on a limb and thinking that something that you say during the show will become the title for the show. And that's the sort of challenge that we gave ourselves. And he kept saying, getting meta, something meta like that. And I wrote down that and a couple of other things. And towards the end, it's still there at the end of the first episode. If you listen to it, we decide on the name for the show during the show itself.
Brilliant.
So we're pretty kicked about how that came about. But no, so I've interviewed Amit Verma, who's a writer. I've interviewed entrepreneurs, which are Dimant Parekh from the Better India / Better Home, and Meeta Malhotra, who was part of Ray and Keshavan and then started a whole bunch of other things. I've interviewed fellow podcaster Utsav Mamoria, who runs Postcards from Nowhere, because I just love his way of thinking. I interviewed some people who I personally have admired for a long time. One, because of the public work, somebody like Krish Ashok, who is very well known in the South Indian space for creating all sorts of crazy content. And in my mind is a criminally underrated humorist across the board. And also I wanted to speak to friends as well. Friends who I think, we all have that friend, I think, like, oh, he's leading a sorted life. Like, what are the decisions that he took in order to get there? They may not be public personas. Like, I interviewed Rohan Joshi as well, and there's a lot to take away from there as well, as I'm sure you know. But Rohan is out there, right? He's got millions of followers because of the type of work he's done. But I also have friends who maybe just have 500, 600 followers, so aren't, quote unquote influencers, as they say, but they still lead that sort of sorted life. And you say, oh, wow, if I'm at the age of 60, if I lead a life like that, I can, say that I've done a great job. So I was very keen to speak to people like that. So when I started the show, I was very selective in terms of the guests I was picking. One, because I needed to know them personally, right? I didn't want to go out and learn about them via Wikipedia, because I wasn't really talking about their work. I wasn't talking about, okay, how do you go from here to here to here? Because I really wanted to talk about their process, how they think through the whole thing. Rohan, for example, I've been following his work for a long time because I was at OML as well. I've gotten to know him a little, some parts of him personally as well. So burnt my fingers with stand-up as well long back. So fairly familiar with some of his work beyond what people have seen in public. So I was able to prod those questions. And one thing I'm very proud of is I think that I asked a lot of questions that all of these guys, many of whom have been interviewed many times before, haven't been asked before. And I think, and that's not a boast really, that's really just a nature of talking to the person more than the achievement, if that sort of makes sense, and that's something I very consciously wanted to do. So yeah, that's a
the
sense
human behind the avatar almost.
Pretty much. Because one thing so for me, the aim of the show really was somebody who's working in one field should be able to get lessons from somebody working in a completely different field. Right. For me, that was really what the Tim Ferriss show gave me. And that's really something I wanted to do with Getting Meta. And I think that's sort of work. So that's a type of people that I spoke to across the board, whole bunch of folks really. I don't want to give out all the names right now because some of the episodes are still not released, and I'd like to I don't want to give everything as a spoiler. Yeah. Okay, so some common things over. I don't know, Ashwin, whether you would call some of these habits, but for me, if I were to sum up the series into 5 or 6 points for people to take away, this is sort of what I would say. The first, I think, and the most important thing is this is something that came across in every single show I did, which was collect as many dots as possible, right? Which is to say, as many experiences, as many data points, as many, whatever it is, draw that map in your head. Whenever you read something, see where it, falls into place. Collect as many experiences as you can, try and cross-pollinate from each other and all that. I haven't phrased it very well, I know. Sure, probably picked an easier one to start with, but this is something that I think everybody said, which is just keep adding dots to your head. Basically, another way of saying collect as much knowledge as you can. And what I find interesting about knowledge is that when these guys say dots, it's not necessarily factual knowledge. Like when we go to school, we say you have to study everything by heart. So that was our definition of knowledge back in the day. But what I realized is knowledge could be factual. It could be your experiences, and it could be your reactions to certain things. It could be what you took away from a certain experience and seeing where else have I felt that experience before, and drawing parallels from completely different industries. Like I work in marketing, for example, and there are so many things that, I've heard some of these guests say at a personal level on the show, which resonated from a marketing sense for a brand or something like that, if that sort of makes sense. So the more dots you can have in your head, I think the smarter you end up becoming, and the more, as Amit and Krish said, Krish Ashok said, you just end up becoming more interesting as a person to talk to. So that's one thing I would say. I know it's a bit of a clunky one, but
but it's actually a very interesting one because there are multiple uses for this.
Yeah.
So Ashok said that there's this concept called becoming an interesting person.
Yeah.
And many a times I get DMs telling me that, I don't know how to talk to people. I'm unsure. Am I an interesting person? Am I not? And I think this is a very, very important fact because the more experiences you've had, the more ways in which that you can start conversations with people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The other day, somebody was saying that, how do you manage to talk to anybody and everybody? I was like, you talk to anybody and everybody because you have a fertile mind that has picked up so much information over the past.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is important. So picking up, allowing that information to, germinate in your mind, grow in your mind, and then using it to connect the dots, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, Jimmy's Cocktail founder and CEO Ankur Bhatia shares insight on the home bar experience. Hunt's, India's most widely read Hindi literary magazine, is now available as Hunt's Vani, a podcast on the IVM network. Do check out curated stories, poems, ghazals, and a whole lot more. For a glimpse of Marathi culture through the ages, do check out Marathi Khidki Tun for a glimpse of sweet nostalgia. Did you know people pay more attention to YouTube ads than TV ads? Get smarter with Sid as he explores some of the reasons. On The Habit Coach, Ashton talks to Angus Nelson and they talk about manhood, myths, coaching, and a whole lot more. And on The Wire Talks, learn more about the unrecognized women screenwriters of Bollywood. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any other show for that matter, please do tell a friend. That's really helpful for us. And finally, we'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Ciet, Cred, Bank of Baroda, Intuit India, and CoinSwitch Kuber. We really do appreciate the support.
Welcome back. All right, let's jump into the conversation. How are some of the other ways in which the guests have phrased this, if I can ask you that?
I mean, it's come in different ways. Like Ashok said, connect, get dots. Amit would say something like, it doesn't matter where you get knowledge from as long as you get it from somewhere. So, I mean, he emphasized a lot on reading, but was also very, very clear on saying that, you can get knowledge from a TikTok video or, a YouTube channel or a podcast or from anywhere. So it doesn't need to be formally in the structure of a book, in that sense. Some others do it by experience and by, or through just speaking to other people, for instance. Like I can say I have got a lot of dots just by virtue of speaking to so many people myself. So I think, but it all comes down to, just collect as many bullet points as you can in your head. But actually what I wanted to follow up with that is actually based on something that you said right now, which was pretty interesting. There are many people, right, who ping and say, like, how do I talk to somebody? How do I, there's always this feeling of this sort of feeling that I'm not good enough to start something or, whatever the case may be. And growing up, I was an extremely insecure kid. Like I was surrounded by a lot of cool kids, quote unquote, right? And I always, we always want to be like the cool kids in school. And what I realized, what ended up, what ends up happening when you are in those very formative years is that you end up trying to gravitate towards the mean. In some sense, you lose the flavor that is you, and you end up becoming like everyone. You end up trying to do that. But what I've realized over a period of time, and I think it was in my episode with Utsav that I spoke to this about, it's just a testament to the quality of conversation that I can't place exactly which one came from where. All 10 episodes are great. Please go listen to them. Where he said something, where we both discussed something like it is really your imperfections that make you and give you that advantage. So, for example, if you are a small town guy, don't look at it as a disadvantage and try to become a big town person. Don't try to learn how to do that. You are at an advantage now compared to everybody else from a content creation point of view, if that's the end goal. Because now you can now look at things from this way. So Utsav, for example, he says that Postcards from Nowhere couldn't have happened if he weren't from a small town. And he is from a small town, Anand, relatively speaking, in Gujarat. And he says because he was so curious as a child, because he didn't have so many places to go to within his city, and he was always looking forward to travel, he looked at travel from a completely different lens. And I thought that was fantastic. Like, so for anyone who's listening to this and think that you are at a certain, quote unquote disadvantage, congratulations, because that is your advantage. Now, from your perspective, how does everything else sort of make sense? And it makes so much sense in hindsight, because when you look at the greatest content creation exercises from the last few years, everybody comes from a distinct advantage. Like you take something like a Morning Brew in the space of finance, for example. Why has that become so successful? Because they don't approach it like a traditional newspaper. They approach it from the point of view of a person who doesn't know finance, which I think is a fascinating approach and such a huge market. So I think that's very, very interesting. Like there are so many theories and stuff that I have right now, but something that I'm broadly thinking in my head right now is something that I'd like to call the Harsha Bhogle effect, which is to say that you don't need to necessarily be a great cricketer in order to be a great cricket analyst. If that makes sense. Similarly, you don't need to be a great musician in order to be a rock critic. You don't need to be a chef in order to be a food writer or something of that sort. And I think once you get over that, right, it's very liberating. It's very liberating to think that, hey, you can do absolutely anything. Like if you have no idea about finance at all, well done. That is your route into creating finance content, because guess what? There are probably millions of others who feel the same way. You become their voice in some way. And I think Tanmay's latest series that he's done on YouTube is a perfect testament to that. He's no financial whiz by himself. He's just learning things as he goes along. And I think that's such a powerful idea. So for anyone who is listening to this, and anyone who is thinking, can I start and all that, I think that would be one piece of advice, which then segues into advice number 2, which is, I think, the first thing on the first piece of advice given out on the show from the first episode itself, which Amit says on content creation, is just start. Like, many times we overthink, we overanalyze, we try to get to the perfect product, like the perfect podcast script or the perfect YouTube video or something. It hardly ever happens that way. And just start, make mistakes. It's not like the world is sitting with bated breath to listen to yet another podcast. So just try stuff, put it out there, iterate as you go along. Don't be embarrassed by what you put out earlier. Just start, get feedback, iterate, see who's listening, see who's not listening or consuming, and as long as you enjoy it, as long as you enjoy the process of content creation rather than chasing metrics or even numbers and things like that, things will work out. Things will work out pretty well. So those are like 2, I think, related pieces of advice that I'd like to say.
I think that's brilliant, because the second one, which is all about just starting, for many people, that's the trip up. That is like the graveyard is filled with the best ideas that could have changed the world, right? Because it all remains as an idea until you actually do something about it.
Correct.
And there are 2 ways in which I like to think about it. One is, I start not even before it's half baked. Before it's gone into the oven, I've only thought about it and I've launched it, because if not, then the momentum will break and I know it'll never happen. So how do you get into that habit of just starting and putting it out? Like, when people tell me, Ashton, which episode should I start listening to? Should I start from episode 500 and something, or should I start from
episode 1?
Like I was saying, you have to start with a half-baked one. And people say that, which one should I listen to? Episode 1, episode 500. I was like, please don't start with episode 1, because I'm like super embarrassed about them. But you realize that you start getting better as it progresses. And must have done 3 episode zeros by now, which is the first episode that you ever record. And this is the first time I ever went into a studio, and Amit was there. And I think to record that 4-minute piece took us about 45 minutes of constant editing, because it was just so difficult. But you had to throw yourself into it and learn to swim. I think that is one important aspect of it.
Yeah. And I think that's true no matter which content medium you're going after, be it video, be it audio like this, be it writing, or it could be something else completely different. You might have a Twitch channel or something like that. But just start. I think you figure out lessons along the way, and it's not like your first idea might end up being the idea that works, right? You might try something and then realize, hey, wow, this is what worked. Like Slack was initially a gaming company. Flickr was initially something else. In fact, both of them were kind of related. So pivots happen all the time. But
even Instagram, for that matter.
We can never predict luck, but you can do whatever you can to give yourself chances to get luck, if that makes sense. Wow, that sounds a little cheesy, actually.
It is. You have to be in the Maidan to win, na? So you have to create your luck.
Better. That's put much better than how I phrased it.
I think because you have to be there. If you're not there, how will you get lucky?
Absolutely.
So, you have to put yourself out there. It's like how people come and say, Ashton, I'm not finding a boy. I was like, how many boys have you met? 0. Then how will you find a boy? Like, you have to go out and actually meet people, right? Not in today's day and age. This was obviously advice given 3 years ago, before the situation we're in. But that is the way that you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I think this just starting, super important. I think so many people listening to this, whatever it is that you wanted to do, just start. As half-baked as it is, trust me, within a month or so, you'll get better at it. It'll get better. And you'll just keep growing. All the top YouTube producers now go to their videos and then do filter by date and go back to the earlier videos and see what they were like. And now compare them to it. Everyone starts off not good.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, in fact, Amit said that on the episode that I had. By the way, for those listening and who are slightly confused, we threw a couple of Amits out there. Ashton was referring most likely to Amit Doshi, who runs IBM Podcast, and now I'm referring to Amit Verma, who's the guy behind the Seen and the Unseen show. So he gave the example of a YouTuber, and I'm sure the case is the same for many other YouTubers, who consistently put out content once every week or once every day or something like that for a period of 6 months, got to 100 videos or something, and you're still at like some 500 subscribers or something like that. So a lot of effort for ostensibly not that much output. And then suddenly things exploded. Something happened. Either somebody picked him up, or one of his videos just resonated, and then everything else, fell into place and stuff like that. And and then the back catalog got discovered and so on and so forth. So I think that's the important thing, right? I think luck, it might come, but the way Amit puts it also is beautiful, which is, see, even if it doesn't become a quote unquote success, as long as you're enjoying doing it and getting something out of it, you shouldn't care what the rest of the world thinks about it and stuff like that. I think that there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
So
and just bloody hard to do. Very, very hard to do that. To keep putting out content without it being appreciated.
Yeah.
But taking this point forward, I think there's an interesting one. So not but a yes and, which is that when you think about it, the way that I like to create whatever I'm doing is that I have to be ready for success.
Sure.
That means that those 100 episodes were there ready for that successful moment that somebody picked you up. Right? You can't wait for that success to happen and say, chalo, now I'll start making videos frantically. I will put out 100 videos in one day. It doesn't work like that. You have to be ready for it. Like the book that I'm writing, I've written a book. Am I famous? No. Will people buy it? Probably not. But imagine if in a year suddenly, whatever I'm doing suddenly explodes and becomes very, very popular. At least there'll be a book ready. There'll be this ready. There'll be that ready. So you have to be ready for that success.
Yeah. That's a nice way of thinking of. And I think why that is difficult, Ashton, for some people is, it's very difficult, I think, it takes a certain level of narcissism to do that, right? Let's face it, right? To say that, okay, someday I'm going to be a success, let's create this in the hope that tomorrow I'm going to be one of India's top YouTubers or something like that, in the hope that there is back catalog. So there is a certain level of conceit or something like that is involved over there, I would like to think. But I think that's true for anybody who's putting content out. So don't let that be, to anyone listening who's debating whether to do this or not, don't just close your eyes and think of what the best version of this, where could this go, where could your little newsletter land you up today. Dream that dream. And let everything else fall in place. Yes, it doesn't mean that you need to proclaim to the world that, yes, I write the greatest newsletter in the world, everyone follow me and all that. No, let those be sort of internal checks for yourself. But what you said makes absolute sense. To be honest, I never thought of it that way. But yeah, I guess it inherently comes to us after making content for so long.
No, and it's not just content. It's also like if you have a business.
Yeah.
Now, if you close your eyes and say, what would my business look like in its best avatar?
Yeah.
Right. If you can visualize that aspect of it, and then you start just creating the foundation for that, then suddenly when it happens, you're ready with the foundation.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
So it is not necessarily like about self, like your ego and pampering and stuff like that. But it is about visualizing, saying that, wow, this is the direction that I want to take. Because if you don't know the direction, there's no way that you're going to get there.
Absolutely. This reminds me of something. I never thought that I would bring advertising into this, but I was in one workshop that one very senior head of strategy was conducting for a very, very big brand. And I've never seen this workshop being conducted before. And I was just blown away by the simplicity of it. One was and it was for a company that was fledgling at that time and is now, of course, now a behemoth. Assume that this brand is going to be a success in 15 years and it has transformed India, etc., etc. And all of you are the founders and you are sitting for a press conference and you are asked what are the reasons that has led to its success, right? And now dream and say what all actually happened. Doesn't matter if it is part of the plan right now, just dream and think of products, this thing, that thing, whatever it is. And that is great. And then in about half an hour, he flipped the tables completely and said, this brand has gone to the pits in 2 years and all of you are responsible and you are sitting for the press conference. Same thing. What are the reasons why? I loved that. And somewhere else I read something like, and this is something that advertising people hate to do, which is to try to kill an idea before putting it out. In some sense, doing a pre-mortem. What are the various reasons for which an idea might not work? And so all these things I think are very important, be it in advertising, be it for content creation ideas, whatever it is, because I think it's very important, Ashton, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, to have a very realistic sense of, okay, what is this content? Like, is this a good idea? What are the reasons for which it can succeed or cannot succeed? Delusion, I think, is a very, very dangerous trap to get into. So a healthy sense of reality with respect to everything, maybe most importantly relationships, I think is very important overall. And doing some sort of, I don't have any habits to do that, but I think doing a check once in a while with your partner, with your project, whatever the case may be, I think would be a very good thing to do.
In fact, Tim Ferriss has a good way of doing that with relationships.
Yeah, he does
the girlfriend and him have that monthly bi-monthly week meeting or something
monthly
like
review or something.
Review of the relationship.
Yeah, which the first time I heard it, I was like, that is such a, but no, it's actually a very good thing to do. We should try it sometime.
Very smart
thing to do. Yeah.
So the pre-mortem exercise, I think, is a absolutely brilliant exercise. What it does is it suddenly brings out what are the possibilities of failure that you had never even thought about or dreamt about.
Yeah.
And the first time my finance consultant did this with me. We just started the business. I completely, with the full excitement, I told him about this is my business idea and all. Now imagine it shuts in the next 5 years. Every single gali that you could have possibly thought about came to my mind. How dare you crush my idea? That was the first time I was doing this exercise. Then I saw the value of it.
Yeah.
And I think in whatever venture you do, it's important to do both of these, which is what you said. One is the unbelievable success, what happened, and what is the horrible burn, crash
scenario.
And burn.
Yeah.
And what happened in that
scenario.
And then
prepare for it. And then prepare for what the worst case scenario would be. Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a nice way to round that that little habit of, I'm not sure quite where we started, but I like how it ended.
Full meandering.
Yeah, full meandering. I love it when things, when things meander like this.
Deepak, thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you? Do you want to direct people into certain things that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So as you can see, I ended up doing quite a few things, but I'm reasonably active on social media, though I don't check as often as I used to back in the day. Chuck_Gopal on Twitter and at Chuck of All Trades on Instagram are where I'm most active on. I do a lot of projects ranging from these podcasts and my digital marketing course and a few other things. I've actually made a website just to consolidate everything together. So chuckofalltrades.in is the website that I've just created a few weeks back. So everything that I do is in there. And hopefully you'll find something that interests you. There's a music group that I run on Telegram with a friend where we try to share one nice piece of rock or metal every day. And that might be a decent place to start as well. So all these will be on that website. So I hope that helps.
Bapre, you're doing so much stuff. So interesting.
No, all of these, Ashton, they are all just ways to keep me. If you notice, all of these things are just ways for me to keep up with things that I'm interested in. That music group, for instance, forces me to go and listen to Spotify's new releases so that I know what's up. So
interesting. Passion projects that grow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Deepak.
Thank you so much for this conversation. And thank you guys if you've listened to this far to me rambling on like this.
All right. That was a fantastic discussion. And just like this, we have a second episode coming up. Please stay tuned to that. Listen to it because we go in a completely different direction after that and understand some of these fantastic thought processes that Deepak's guest has had over this point of time. So join us for the second episode. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashtin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome 180.
पेश खिदमत है आपकी शान में हमारे अंजुमन से. Hi, I am Sadaf.
And I'm Arshit. खाने का इतिहास, economics, policy, psychology, सब है मेन्यू पे.
Only on the Nankali podcast every Wednesday. सिर्फ IVM podcast app या वेबसाइट पर या फिर जहां से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो.
Are you looking for finance products and services that can enhance your personal finance experience? Are you looking for a space to talk about your financial product or service? And are you looking for a crisp talk show where the conversation is all about money? Well, your search ends here. Hi, My name is Anupam Gupta and I'm host of the Paisa Vaisa podcast, and I invite you for the conversation about your personal finance on each Monday on the IVM Podcast app or the website or on any podcast streaming platforms. See you folks.